for what's a relevant department that would be having an NSERC competition. They can put you into that.
Can you still apply for NSERC scholarships if you're planning on attending a foreign university for grad school?
No.
No.
They have to be held at a Canadian university.
Okay, there are other scholarships that are suitable for taking elsewhere. A lot of them from, say, private agencies where their real goal is to cure this disease and they don't care where the work is done. Those would be ones you could apply for. There are also international scholarships, things like a Human Frontiers program, Rhodes scholarships, and most universities have some sort of searchable database of all the sort of graduate scholarships. Okay, everyone good? So when you get into grad school, not saying if, when you all get into grad school, this is what you'd be doing. So your first year, you'll probably take a lot of courses and you will begin on your research project. And the courses come in sort of three flavors. They're a little different than what you've had now. Probably no big lecture courses. You'll take what we call a journal club-like course where you'll present papers. So this will get you to read the literature, learn how to critically analyze it, and work on your communication skills. So something that I like to say in my letters about my graduate students to recommend them for the future is they have the ability to go to, say, a new field, acquire all the information quickly, and then present it in a concise manner to our group. And that's sort of a skill you need for any sort of career. Many careers you'll be analyzing data and trying to work on presenting something that's just the relevant parts. And then in our department, we have something we've developed, and many universities do, we call the process course, so scientist skills. How to write abstracts, progress reports, how to give presentations, give posters. You've already done that, check. We discuss things like scientific ethics. The students go to seminars and learn to read widely and have a broad appreciation of science. Okay, so this is a new perspective to teach you the kind of things that it took me like 30 years to learn by osmosis. Okay, and then you'll probably have some content courses, and these won't be the 300 student lecture courses. They'll be, hopefully 10, 15, 20 students. We read papers. Again, the students do a lot of the learning, student-to-student learning, and you do a lot of presentations. Okay, so then year two, you've finished all your courses. Most grad schools require you to do your courses in the first year, and then you'll decide if you want to switch from the master's to the PhD. Carry out your research project, and if you want to switch to the PhD, usually there's some sort of exam that's called either a comprehensive exam or a reclassification exam, and then once you pass that, you're a PhD student. And in this exam, usually the way it works is you write up a project proposal of what you're going to work on, and you're asked to defend that, and test it on relevant knowledge for what someone working in that area ought to know. And it's actually good. That's the most well-informed you'll ever be. You'll spend a couple weeks reading lots and lots of papers. Okay, and if you have the right mindset, it's a very good experience. Right? And you get grilled by a panel of people, and you should think of it as just a nice discussion about science with other people who are interested in the same thing. and one hint, and this may come up, what I tell my graduate students is, if you don't know something, what's a good approach is really to say, well, I don't know, but this is how I'd figure it out. And I think that's a better measure of a student than saying, well, I read it in the book, that's the answer. And that's the kind of student you want to find. So it's okay not to know stuff. Well, we can't know it. And then typically a master's is completed in 2 or 3 years, and a PhD in 4 or 5 years. And the expectation for a PhD is published papers at the end. So the requirement there is that you've done publication quality work. And now in your PhD thesis, they allow you to just staple together your published papers and then write just an overall introduction, overall discussion. It's a new way of writing a PhD thesis. And then for each of you, you would need to figure out for your career goals, which is the appropriate degree, a master's or a PhD. Okay, and then probably, if you think about it, you might have some questions about that we can talk about. Okay, so grad student life, besides drinking lots of coffee, carrying out research, drinking lots of coffee. You'll be a teaching assistant, which is good. You can learn a good skill. There's something about having to teach something where you learn it a lot better than just having to pass the exam. And teach other people, and it's again communication skills that are good for any sort of career. Okay, trained undergraduates So maybe you all started in the lab in some way. Maybe like me, your first job was washing dishes and stuffing yellow tips, and then someone trained you to do gels and blots and molecular biology. And then it'll be your turn to train other people. This is how you give back as a scientist. Okay, so they become your assistant. All right, and you get to this is real where my students went. They sent me a nice postcard. You can attend scientific meetings. That's a lot of what your life would be like. And I'm just thinking about the goals of a graduate education. So certainly there's the career things of setting you up for a career, but just sort of the skills that are important for any sort of career. I think developing critical thinking abilities. Really take a complex problem, generate hypotheses and test those ideas, analyze data, critically interpret it, develop models. These are things that will be important for if you become a city planner. You need these type of skills. One of my wife's, she's a faculty member too, one of her former students, he really lucked out. He was at the right place at the right time. So he was a master's student, and he got a job at an investment bank to analyze biotech companies about which ones might be good ones to invest in. So he would have to go visit a company somewhere, travel all over the world, spend 2 days with them, learn about what they do, what their plans were, and evaluate whether it was a good strategy and whether the bank should invest several $1 million in it. So he needed these kind of skills, even though he wasn't doing science himself. He was just earning like millions of dollars. Okay. Other examples, the ability to formulate questions and write research proposals. Almost any sort of leadership position you'll have in any field will require that. The ability to communicate, again, important if you're going to be a teacher or any sort of interacting with the public. Become familiar with how science works, and become a well-informed scientist with a broad knowledge of what's important and what's going on. That's the perspective we try to give to our students, not just to know their little field, but to know all the important things. I hate going to a scientific meeting and have one of my colleagues come up to me and say, hey, did you read about this? I go, nope. So I want to know what's going on. Okay. And it's important for many careers. And every university probably has something like this, but UBC has a very good website in their grad studies for all the different things that I've talked about, all the aspects of why go to grad school, applying for grad school, how to get money for grad school, what you'll do, what careers it will lead to. So they've got lots of the graduate game plan, getting started, yeah, all this. Mid-program, nearing completion, right? So are you reading these, Christine? Where are you reading these, right? Mid-program, near completion. Career development. This is a very nice website. We'll have these slides on the RSR website, so you can look at it. So why don't we take a break now, and then we'll just think. We have door prizes. So one of the things we do is in our department is we are very interested in public outreach, and every year on World AIDS Awareness Day, which is December 1st, we put on